Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Speak and Grow Rich podcast with your host, Amanda Moxley. And today we have Chris Williams, who is the podcast master of the Grow Your Side Business podcast and more. So, welcome, Chris.
Hey, Amanda. Nice to have me here on the show. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm so glad to have you because I have actually seen your podcast. I know that you run it 24 hours a day and that your heart is to help high achieving people who are already successfully employed but are disconnected and maybe even discontent actually have a side business. So tell us how you got into that.
Yeah, so I call my tribe the successfully discontent, and it's because many of us, after we've been climbing the corporate ladder, doing all the right things, we got the title, we got the job, we got the house, we got the salary, but there's something that happens when you get to a certain point in your career where you feel there's something more. You can't put your finger on it though. It's a
Mhm.
gnawing feeling. It's not like I can pinpoint it. It just feels like, is this it? Right? Was this the thing? And because you got more demand on your life than ever, right? But you're not really fulfilled. And what I tell people is it's a fork in the road moment for most of us, right? We tend to look at our careers as it's got to be the thing. I got to make this happen. I got to make this happen. Well, why is that? Because we spent probably $100,000 or more on this degree that we
Right.
got to pay back. We owe it to ourselves based on our quote unquote title and expertise and whatever else we've told ourselves. The unfortunate part is we almost start to feel guilty once we get the golden handcuffs. Once we
Mm.
get that
Right.
wonderful salary, once we get that thing, we almost feel guilty. And what I always love telling people is you're not wrong for how you feel. The difference is that what we don't understand at the end of the day is your job will always determine your salary, but they were never meant to determine your overall income. So on the Grow Your Side Business podcast, what we do is we teach high achieving employees how to be able to grow a profitable side business, because your job is never going to teach you to not be codependent on them. But there's so many skills that if you unlocked who your really true potential is,
Mhm.
you would show up so much better in that day job, but you would
Yes.
also feel more fulfilled. And so that's what we help people do.
That is so true. It's like when a couple has a baby and all of a sudden they think they used to have all this time, but now they don't, but that they're way more productive.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to start their side hustle, how do they identify what that is and what their strengths and gifts are? And where do they find the time?
Yeah. So I make a big distinction between what a hustle is and building a side business.
Okay.
When we hustle, it's what we're doing in our corporate day job. And hey,
Mm.
listen, just so everybody's clear, and you know who you're talking to, I've made over 150 to $180,000 a year in my day job. I was making great money,
Yeah.
loved what I did. I'm a trainer for executives all across the company, so I was traveling, I was doing my thing. I loved it, right?
Hmm.
But the difference is that you're still trading your time for money.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It will stop when you stop. You don't get a break. You can't go and pivot. You don't even, some of us don't even feel like we have time to even raise our families that we've created because we're so job focused. And the
Hmm.
thing that really helped me understand that was marrying my wife. My wife, Dr. Tamara Williams, has been an entrepreneur ever since I met her. And we were like two ships passing in the night. It's like she's speaking entrepreneurship language and I was talking, corporate. And she's like, and she used to, she made over $1 million a year in her corporate day job at that when she was
Wow.
working a day job. She
What?
understands being a high achiever.
Right.
She understands that world better than most. But even she left. And I
Mm.
used to get curious, how is it that somebody would leave a high paying job? Well, it's because she was successfully discontent.
Hmm.
And because what she realized, she was actually undervaluing her own skill set. And the
Wow.
company is making millions off of her. And so that's a whole nother conversation we could have. You could probably
Hmm.
interview her about that one.
Love
But
to.
what was interesting is that I just realized that in my day job, there were other things I wanted to explore in life. I was interested in other stuff other than working all day and
Right.
checking in at night on the laptop and weekends. And I'm supposed to be watching my kids' lacrosse game, but I'm checking my email, right? Like I was interested in more than that. And I wasn't
Hmm.
willing to let go of my own identity to only behold my corporate identity. And I remember the linchpin moment for me, quite honestly, was me getting laid off.
Oh,
I've been laid off twice from corporate America. The second time I got laid off was I was out of town for them, giving a presentation to executives in a room of about 30 people, Amanda. I'm not making this up. I'm
brutal.
giving this presentation. I get a standing ovation. There was a big organizational change. I helped the organization make through the change, get everything done. It affected like 10,000 people overall within the company.
Wow.
Right after that meeting, right after that presentation, I walk into another room with my current manager at that time, and she says, effective immediately, you have been let go. Yep. Out
How
of
did that feel?
town. Oh, I always tell people there's these moments we have in life where sometimes you have an extreme high and then you
Yeah.
have an immediate extreme low and you're stuck in the middle of that. That was that
Ooh.
moment for me. I couldn't
Oh,
believe what was happening. And I couldn't go to my next meeting. I had to grab my laptop. I had to get in the car. I was 3.5 hours away from my home.
but
I cried, hit the steering wheel. I was punching and screaming in the car because I had a wife who was also 5 months pregnant at the time. And I got to go home and tell this woman, I don't have a job.
wow.
And it led to a whole lot of financial ruin, financial stress.
Mm-hmm.
This is right after a couple of years after the 2008 crash. Um, and most people think that, if you remember back then, if you're not in business, people thought, oh, well, on January 1st, 2009, everything went back to normal. No, it didn't. There was a
Mm-hmm.
ripple effect economically of that crash. And
Mm-hmm.
I worked in financial services. So unfortunately, we caught the brunt of it. So when I
Right?
got laid off, there's no jobs. I'm overqualified for too much. So I didn't find another job for another year. I went from making almost $90,000 a year to $9.17 in a week.
Oh my gosh.
That is what you call gut.
With your wife 5 months pregnant. Okay, this is
Yep.
horrible.
Oh yeah. It was
So
the wake up call though I needed, Amanda.
that taught you that you don't want to be dependent on someone else who owns your time.
No. You know what's
Wow.
interesting? That's the reason why we have a false sense of security though, of a job.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, by the way, I'm not a job basher. I loved what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the difference. I think for every employee who's a high achiever, you need to understand that it's a game.
Right.
And for once, you need to learn to play the corporate game to your advantage. And
Mm-hmm.
building a side business is the ultimate cheat code in
Cheat
order to
code.
be able to leverage your skills, build something that you can control. So even if they do let you go,
Mhm.
you don't have that crash of your finances and family that people go through. And it happens way more than gets put on the news. I can tell you that, Amanda.
Well, yeah. And the way the world is going currently, I can see it happening more.
Yeah,
So how do
absolutely.
people do this? How can you help someone who is right there? They see it maybe happening to them, or maybe it has happened to them. How do you help them create that side business?
Yeah, the first thing is that people think you got to do something new. There's all these things that we say. We'll probably
Mhm.
say something to the effect of, man, like, well, yeah, I would like to do that, but the market's oversaturated. But I'd like to do this, but that's the hot trend. People go to hot trends then next, right? Or they
Right.
go and try to do a franchise. Here's what I tell people. This is the gold that people don't understand.
Give it us the goal.
That's right. So I'm gonna give you the framework so you can understand how to make this work for you. First and foremost, your current skills that your job is making millions off of, you could put in the marketplace yourself and at least make triple of what you're making right now in your current salary. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
Because I'm the one
Triple.
that did it. I'm the one that did it. So I remember I built my first side business reluctantly with the aid of my wife. Um, and my first year, I made $200,000 profit.
Nice.
I I never had. I remember the first check I got. My first check I got was for $7,487.36. I'll never
Mhm.
forget that check. And it was for 30 days of work on a side
Nice.
business, part time. Now, to some people, they may go, well, that's not a whole lot of money. it represented the freedom and the idea that I could build something and get paid for it.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
remember the day I opened the check. I was on my way. Some of us corporate people, we're so busy, we check our mail on the way to work. So I would grab my mail on the way out the door from the mailbox. And I was on my way upstairs. I got parked in the car. I pulled out my mail, and I remember, oh, my check should be coming from. I had built this side business in the health and wellness industry as a partnership. And I said, okay, something I cut my teeth on, just learning, understanding business. And the check had come in the mail. And so I was on my way to a 9 a.m. meeting. I was running a little bit late, but I was like, oh, I got to open this. I saw the number on the check and I saw my name on it, but it wasn't attached to my day job. When I sat down in that meeting at 9 a.m., I felt like Neo seeing the Matrix for the very first time. It's like I am no longer financially codependent on this job. I went on to be able to make $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 every single month. Months where I made $50,000 a month. Still working my day job. And people will go, well, Chris, why would you keep working your day job? Because I finally was playing the game my way. That's why. And there were other people, Amanda, who wanted to know. They wanted to understand, how did you do it? So my framework that I use is I show people, take your current skills, write them down. Like when you think about, and this is the best way to do it, whatever your job is paying you for, don't write down the title. Write down the actual thing that you're getting paid for. For example, you might be an HR manager. You're getting paid almost $200,000 a year to run this, department in this organization, right? Don't think about, I'm an HR manager, who would want to pay me? What you got to understand is, as an HR manager, you understand principles, you understand practices, and you understand your profession. That's what I call my triangle of value. When you understand how powerful that triangle of value is, and then you list out the current outputs and the outcomes that you provide, you literally have a ready-made business. Because guess what? What you know as an HR manager, as an example, there's somebody out there who doesn't know it. And they're trying to climb that world, and they will happily pay somebody to know what you know. And so if you take those skills, and if you understood how to actually turn it into something that's monetizable, it would change your life. And that's what I teach people when we take them through our focus framework. Our focus framework really gives people the opportunity to see themselves really building a business. And focus is an acronym. F stands for finding your unique skills. O is learning how to optimize your time and resources. C is for creating irresistible offers. I'm talking about irresistible offers based on your current skill set. U is utilizing effective marketing strategies. Now, don't get scared about the word marketing, because we've been marketing, Amanda, all of our lives.
Right.
As children, we market and we sell to get that extra cookie in the night before we go to bed. As adults, we market ourselves to our date. And when you're married, you're still doing it. Right. So it's understanding the natural tendencies and understanding the ways that why people buy things. Right. You stay. I said you. S stands for scale and systematizing your side business. When you understand how to focus the right way, it changes the way you show up at work, because you realize, I've been sitting on this gift. And if you really want to know really quickly, like how much you could get paid, take your current salary, multiply it by 3. That's the number the marketplace will pay you right now when you use our focus framework.
That is freeing. And you said profit.
Because the world is different, Amanda. Like,
huge.
You can build a business. Amanda, you've done it. You've built a business online. You don't need, we think, because unfortunately for many of us who are older, we're still thinking brick and mortar, right? We're still thinking, oh, it's got to be no. Information is the new currency. And if you know how to craft your information in a way that is consumable, that somebody can go take action on it, your life will change.
Right. Pure profit, guys, 3x what you're currently making. So they can use your focus framework, and they can apply this how many hours a week? would it take for them to create a
I wrote
side
an article
business?
recently, Amanda, about how to take as little as 6 hours a week and build your side business. I wrote that on LinkedIn last week or earlier this week,
Okay.
actually. We just did an
6
article about that.
hours. So a power hour a day, 6 days a week,
Exactly.
take Sunday off.
You don't have to go. Listen, I understand that people say, "Oh, I burn the candle at both ends." And guess what? For a period of time, you might. I know I did.
Mhm.
My
Yep.
first year and a half. Oh yeah, Chris wasn't really sleeping, but that's Chris though. I'm not telling other
Mhm.
people they have to do that. I have two boys,
Okay.
and at the time when I started building, they were in middle school. So yes, I'm
Mhm.
still free Ubering to lacrosse and practice and everywhere. Okay, so it's not like I didn't have a life. But I'm gonna tell
Right.
you one thing that I did. And Amanda, you probably appreciate this.
Mhm.
One thing I did was I actually took time and I got so serious, my family actually believed me.
Mhm.
'Cause you know that's the objection that most people have, right? Well, I would do it, but I don't really have no support at home, and I got all this other stuff. No, your dreams are not your family's responsibility. I hate to tell somebody that.
It's good.
But you know what happens when you do achieve your dreams and turn them into reality? Everyone else benefits.
Yep.
So it's worth fighting for every day.
Mhm.
That's why this idea of what you have on your podcast is so dope. Speaking
Mhm.
your way to like wealth, like if people understood, look at it this way: every single thing that is created today and to be created, and what was made in the past, started with a thought and somebody saying it.
Mhm.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. They thought about it. And Henry Ford had this crazy idea. We got trains, we got horses. Well, what if I could make a smaller engine and put it in the front of these four wheels and maybe we can create a car? It was
Mhm.
crazy. It was
Right.
stupid until he did it. And then it was like, oh my God, now we got cars.
Right.
A phone that is an entertainment device? Nobody wants an entertainment device.
Mhm.
This is an iPhone.
Yep.
Circa 2012, right? Like it's the
Right.
understanding that the power we have in our mouths, leveraging the ingenuity that's already in your head, you can change your world if you understood the value of what you have to say. The thing is, don't be afraid to put these dreams out there.
Right.
There's somebody needing that dream. You create the
Mhm.
hope and the engagement for other people. It's such a important thing in today's noisy world, especially on social media.
Oh, yeah. So you're so inspiring. I love your passion for this. And you bring up a good point about actually putting it out there. What if they are putting it out there and their employee or employer or their colleagues are watching? How do they go around that?
Yeah. Number one, I think the thing that you got to do is you got to be strategic about what you put out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. It's what am I putting out? Um, because at the end of the day, if we'll go back to the HR manager, thing, if Karen's an HR manager and she's, got this great idea now, she's put it together, she knows how to share it. You have to really step back and think about, okay, how could I provide some simple value without compromising my day job? You know what most people could do? Grab their camera phone and
Mm-hmm.
share a piece of advice, a tip, an idea, a strategy. Talk about the culture of being an HR manager. Talk about the tools that HR managers use. You start talking about around the environment of the thing that you do. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's universal conversation.
Yeah.
You can talk about articles that are written about
Mm-hmm.
HR in the world. You could share your perspective of certain scenarios, leave the names out and protect the innocent, but you could talk about moments that you went through. You could talk about your corporate career. You could talk about there's so many things that you learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's why our focus framework works, because we show people that's a part of marketing. And we show people like, look at all these things that you can actually do that's not going to harm your day job. And guess what
Right.
happens? Your coworkers now start to look at you and go, wow, she's actually a lot more well thought about than I never saw this side of her.
Mm.
Exactly.
It's good. It's so good because then a lot of people have obstacles about being seen and being visible and promoting
Yeah.
themselves. But
Mhm.
if you're building your side business while in your corporate job, then you're able to practice being visible, sharing, getting that camera on, and keeping your day job so you're getting paid, but then getting the experience and the reps. That's such a
There's an
great
interesting
tip.
story of a young lady named Dominique. Dominique actually was working two full-time day jobs. She's making about $130,000 a year, but she was working 80 plus hours a week.
That's what?
And unfortunately, in the United States, that's kind of normal for a lot of
Yeah.
high achievers.
Right.
But she had a passion for art and design.
Mhm.
She was in marketing, so she loved design, but her real passion was to take what she knew and put it into art.
Mhm.
This woman turned around, excuse me, learned how to build a business. She built it on the side. Yes, she found the time, because I always tell people, you find time for what you want by prioritizing your priorities.
Right.
Everybody loves to talk about priorities. No, how about you prioritize your priorities? That
Right.
actually
There's so
might be
many.
helpful, right? And you have to put parameters in place. There's a great book by Dr. Henry Cloud. I think it's Henry Cloud. Boundaries. No, Malcolm Gladwell wrote Boundaries.
Okay.
Um, and I think it's really important to be able to understand how to do that. And so Dominique ended up building her business on the side, part time, just putting pieces together, little by little. She now makes $22,000 a month. She's able to
Nice.
leave both of her two full-time jobs.
And get the profit, guys. Is she working 80 hours a week still?
Heck no.
Oh, good.
She's living the life that she always wanted. But this is what I think is important. She fought for it.
Yep.
You
You
have to
have to.
fight for that idea. Because here's the crazy part, Amanda, that most people don't think about.
Mhm.
If you take Amanda 10 years ago, the Amanda you are now didn't know this Amanda existed.
True.
She
So many
didn't know
changes.
this version.
Yeah.
And if you have a growth mindset and you're willing to give yourself permission to think beyond the job, the title, the house, the car, whatever your status is in your community,
Mhm.
there's a richer version of you. Like there's a version of you that you have yet to meet.
Right.
And so by going through building a side business, people end up finding that version of them and they realize me striving to that is better than me holding on to what's familiar.
So
And so
good.
you learn to let go of what's familiar and really take hold of that unknown version of you. The stuff that you can create and the value that you can provide to you and your family is just, it's amazing.
Wow. I hope everyone's catching a vision of that, the possibility, the you that is awaiting you, the you know who you are now doesn't even know that. You are so inspiring. I could listen to you talk all day, and I know we can on your podcast.
All right.
So inspiring. So tell us how we can continue the learning with you and how we can perhaps start our own side business.
Yeah, we actually just launched our side business masterclass. So
Nice.
we are doing masterclasses. It's my way of taking the stuff I've learned over the last 6 years, and I remember just asking myself about a year ago, man, like I need to write down all the things that I wish somebody would have told me.
Mhm.
And as I was doing that work, we came up with the Side Business Masterclass. And so the Side Business Masterclass is available. You can go to sidebusinessmasterclass.com and you
Easy.
can register for our webinar. We have a webinar called The 4 Biggest Mistakes High Achieving Employees Make When Building a Side Business. And you can
Mhm.
come and you can learn. We are a community of what we call side business builders, those who are successfully discontent, who just want to be successful. And
Yes.
so my biggest thing is that you can go there, you can come learn, come be a part of the community, come learn. But more importantly, you can find me on Instagram, the Christopher Williams. You can find me on YouTube, Grow Your Side Business. Um, we've got lots of subscribers over there, people who are coming and learning. I drop something every single Monday called Massive Action Monday, which is a live
Mhm.
video. And we do that because I believe that those who are my definition of massive action is those who execute above the average. And most high
Good.
achievers execute well above the average. So that's where they can find us.
Thank you. You're such a
Cool.
gift. I love your passion, and you make this sound so doable and easy, and we can do it. So if you guys are interested in building your side business, definitely connect with the Christopher Williams on Instagram and in his sidebusinessmasterclass.com. Thanks, guys, for showing up, being here. Thank you for the work that you're doing in the world. And let's all go out there and build some amazing businesses, change the economy, change the currency, and change the creations that we're making. All right. See you in the next video. Bye, Chris.